gloriously sunny International Women's Day. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who has turned out today. We're here to celebrate, to support and to rally behind the Rotunda Hospital and to make clear our wish and our demand for improved maternity facilities in this country. We all know that incredible outcomes are being achieved day in, day out by the staff of the Rotunda Hospital. And I'm thrilled that we're actually here in the Garden of Remembrance, actually looking on the Rotunda Hospital today. So thank you all for coming out. I'm thrilled that we're joined here by the Clinical Director, Gynaecologist and Obstetrician, Dr. Vicky O'Dwyer. We also have Maeve Breheny, Assistant Industrial Relations Director in the INMO, and Rochford, official with SIPTU. And I'm delighted to see faces from leading faces from the world of maternity care joining us here today at this rally. We have our token man here today on International Women's Day, Elayne Adamczyk, MEP and dad to three, and I suppose with his own very personal story of maternity services over recent months. We have domestic violence campaigner and local activist Ruth O'Dea. And then I'm particularly thrilled that we have a very special treat at the end. Rapper, poet, educator, and all-round brilliant person, Temper-Mental MissElayneous, who's going to perform for us at the end. Because at the end of the day, while we're talking very much about maternity services today, it's also about including the arts into every single thing that we do. And I'm thrilled that we have Elayne, that we have Temper-Mental MissElayneous here to perform at the end. So, look, I suppose I just want to say, you know, we wouldn't be out here outside the Rotunda, here in the Garden of Remembrance today, if it were not for the debacle over the last few weeks. And, you know, it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And ultimately, I suppose the critical lesson that we have to learn now is that maternity services have got support over the last many years in this country, but in terms of maternity facilities, it is 20 years since we've seen any serious investment into maternity facilities in this country, last seen with the building of the new maternity hospital in Cork. And we know that there is a dire need for the critical care wing here in the Rotunda Hospital. It's been talked about for many years. There was a report 6 years ago which said the high dependency unit had the worst facilities in the country, and that is to say, and that's in spite of the care that's been given. And yet we know that with Holles Street is 13 years since government approval was given for that new hospital, and of course we know that the Coombe also needs a serious upgrade. So this is about demanding that maternity facilities in this country get the respect that they deserve. And any woman who's ever walked through the door of a maternity hospital knows just how vulnerable a time it is in their lives. And how much you are in the hands of the staff, the women staff, but also the facilities that are there to provide for your care. And it's not acceptable in 21st century Ireland that we would have 12-bed units, two 12-bed units with one toilet and shower being shared between those women. It's not acceptable that you would have neonatal intensive care units where it's not of sufficient standard in terms of the spacing. And we need to make sure that the clarion call from today is that maternity facilities have to be put on the political radar. The political football that played out over the past few weeks should never have happened. But I'm really relieved and glad that we now have an outcome in terms of the government saying that the future location of the Rotunda Hospital is here in the heart of Dublin's north inner city in Dublin 1. And that is a great achievement, but at least we have that clarity now. But we need to press on. We need to make sure that the planning system recognises the importance of here. It's important to also acknowledge there's a silver lining from all of this, that there is going to be even greater capacity planned now within that critical care wing than what was originally put in to the original planning application. I think it's also important to say on a day like today where we're here to celebrate the Rotunda Hospital, that as the busiest maternity hospital in Europe, almost 9,000 births last year, it is a phenomenal achievement that within this building that so much is done every year for the care and dignity and safe birth of women and children in this country. And I'm very conscious because of its location. The Rotunda is very much at the coalface of so much that is good and indeed bad about our city. It is the epicentre of wonderful diversity that makes our city, in terms of the staff and indeed the women that go through those doors. The incredible diversity of the north of our city. But also in terms of the bad, in terms of the homelessness that afflicts our city. And I know the Rotunda, the staff there day in, day out are dealing with women and families who have no home to go to after they give birth, and that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. So to all the staff in the Rotunda Hospital, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for everything you do for our people every day. Yay. I'm conscious that as a politician, we could be talking here all day. So, and this is not about this is not about long speeches today, but it's about hearing from the breadth of voice, from the range of voices that represent that work in our hospital, that support our hospital, patients who've been through the hospital, and then, as I say, to include the art as well in a day like today. So I want to hand over to Dr. Vicky O'Dwyer, who I know has been a crucial part of that campaign and that fight for maternity, for improved regional or for maternity facilities in the hospital as a leading staff member there, and who will be leading very much the transformation of the hospital when the new building is hopefully built in the next few years. So, Dr. Vicky O'Dwyer, thank you for being here today, and thank you for all your work and the staff.
First of all, I want to thank Marie for organising today and for everyone who's come out for the Rotunda. It's been a long time coming. There's been talk of this development for many, many years. And it's great now that we have clarity that we're staying here in Parnell Square and that the relationship we've built with the manor for our patients will continue to grow. But to do that, we need to improve our facilities. So last year, we delivered just over 8,600 babies. And that's 1,500 more than the next busiest maternity hospital in the country. And we're seeing our booking numbers go up year on year. And as the maternity hospital of choice, we're delighted that women are choosing to have their babies at Rotunda. We're also the busiest women's health unit in the country. So we need to provide safe, high quality care, which we're doing, but we need better facilities for our patients. So for our mums and for our babies. So what we're looking for in our critical care wing development, we're looking to improve our high dependency unit. We're looking to improve our neonatal care unit. So currently we've capacity for 39 babies and we're often at capacity. And those incubators are literally side by side, as close as I am to Marie. And what we want is that we have 21st century facilities for our NICU so that we reduce the chance of infection, so that we have an appropriate space for a mum or dad who wants to spend time with that baby, or maybe with us for weeks, to be able to express, to be able to just spend time to talk to the medical team in privacy, and just to really improve what we offer. As Marie said, our postnatal wards have been there since 1757. So we have what is essentially like a dormitory ward, and you have it full of mums and babies, and one shower and toilet. So what we want to do is build more single rooms and to improve the rooms that we currently have. So to make them smaller, to make the showering and toilet facilities more appropriate, and to give those mums and babies a better postnatal experience. Because while we acknowledge that the care has been excellent and we really strive to provide the best care, we want to improve the facilities that we provide that care in. As you may also know, we're also adding a section of full treatment units to the plans for the critical care wing. There are many men and women who will need those facilities from all over the country. We're looking to create a second forensic pod. And what that will mean is that the person who links with the unit will be seen within 3 hours and that there won't be any delay because a second pod is available. And then when that person comes back for their post-care, that they have an appropriate quiet space to meet the team again, to meet people from the rape crisis centre if they need to, and really to, I guess, double what we are currently providing. So I really want the pressure to stay on, and I'm so happy that everyone is trying to support us and that the Minister released her statement. But I think we need to keep the pressure on now. We have a plan. We know we're staying here in Parnell Square, and we really want to see the critical care wing development progress as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Vicky. I suppose no hospital, well, every hospital, I suppose, is obviously made up of its doctors, its nurses and midwives, and of course, healthcare assistants and staff. And obviously, nurses and midwives are the backbone of the services provided in Rotunda Hospital. So, really important that we have the unions representing those workers here today. And I know some of the workers are here. So I just want to give a very warm welcome to Elayne from the Elayne Adamczyk to speak on behalf of your members.
Thanks, Marie. And I suppose to start by saying Happy International Women's Day to everybody. Hooray! The Irish Nurses and Midwives organisation are proud to represent nurses and midwives who care for women in this country through hospital settings and community every day of the week. Places like the Rotunda are extremely special, and we're extremely proud to represent the nurses and midwives who provide impeccable and outstanding care to our smallest citizens, their mums and their families. Incredible advances in midwifery and nurse-led care are evident in the neonatal care and across all services provided here in the Rotunda. The amazing midwives and the nurses who work in this unit deserve to work in conditions that reflect the level of care that they provide. INMO members in the Rotunda are champions of women-centred care. They are with women for some of life's most special moments and, sadly, for some of life's most devastating moments. The INMO supports the expansion of services in the Rotunda. Our members and the women and babies they treat deserve world-class facilities that match the world-class care provided. What we need to go hand in hand with an upgrade of these facilities for patients and for staff is safe access and safe staffing in place in the Rotunda. Unsafe staffing in maternity units is a patient safety issue, a staff wellbeing issue, and a service sustainability issue. So good luck to everybody, and we support this move.
Thank you very much, Maeve. And now sometimes the often less spoken about, but just as crucially important part of any hospital are the healthcare assistants, the porters, the support staff, and all those who work to support the doctors and nurses and midwives in the hospital. And I want to very warmly welcome Anne Rochford from SIPTU here today to speak on behalf of those staff. Thanks,
Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anne Rochford. I am the official from the Health Division of SIPTU, here representing our members today. I'm proud to stand here today on International Women's Day and to speak about all the staff who keep the Rotunda running from day to day. The Rotunda is not just a hospital, it is the heart of this city. For generations, family have come through its doors at some of the most important times of their life. Moments of care, hope, and new beginning. Behind every one of those moments are dedicated staff who work day and night to provide the best possible care for mothers, babies and families. Their work is essential and their commitment never goes unnoticed. That is why it is important that the hospital continues to have the facilities it needs. There's also no agreement minimum staffing, is there? We need to make sure this is addressed. Including the fit for purpose critical care wing so staff can continue to provide the safe, high quality care that every patient deserves. The Rotunda belongs here in the heart of Dublin, and it should remain here, serving the people of this city for generations to come. Today we stand together in support of the Rotunda, its staff, its future. Thank you, everyone.
And now, while it is International Women's Day, we obviously need the men in our lives to very much support the women in this city and country. And I'm very proud that we have our MEP, Elayne Adamczyk, to speak here today, because I think this is the thing when we talk about the women coming through the doors, it's the families that are coming through the doors of our maternity hospitals. Each have a really important story to tell. And Elayne, thank you for being here today. And
thanks very much, Marie. Yeah, I'm delighted to join fellow feminists here this morning on International Women's Day. The first thing I want to say, however, is in a week where we've seen a girls' school in Iran be bombed and cost the lives of over 160 people, it's important that our government stands up for international law and calls out the killing of school children in Iran, the war crime that it is, on International Women's Day. Can I also say I was born in the Rotunda. My two oldest girls were born in the Rotunda, and our plan was that our third little one, Roisin, would also be born in the Rotunda. I've been very open about the difficult journey we've had to this point, but basically at 24 weeks, it came clear that Roisin was going to come very early. And in fact, we were very lucky to get to that point because we thought we had lost her twice up until that moment. But it came clear that the Rotunda didn't have the ICU bed that would be needed to care for her. And so, unfortunately, some women who start off their journey in the Rotunda have to go to Drogheda, have to go to Belfast because of the lack of facilities here. Not that the Rotunda hasn't been screaming out for the facilities, but they haven't been provided for them. So look, we were fortunate in that we only had to go over the city to the Coombe. And in some ways, it's a minor inconvenience. But in other ways, it actually isn't good enough that a woman would not be in a position to continue her journey to childbirth in the facility, in the hospital where she started that journey. I'll say this much. The Rotunda is a place of great joy and great celebration. But it is also a place of great pain, of great trauma, and great heartbreak. And those who work there need to have a facility, a building that can care for that joy, that celebration, that love, but can also care for that heartbreak, for that trauma, and for that hurt. The last thing I want to say is that, look, Roisin is over in the Coombe. In the very first week she was there, a little boy, 22 weeks, right beside her, passed away, right beside her. And now she's almost home. And as Marie said earlier, there's a little boy right beside her who's just been born into homelessness. Now, there are politicians who will tell you that homelessness is essentially about immigration. And we know that that's a lie. Because the real story of immigration in this country are the medical professionals who are keeping our babies alive and keeping our babies well and making sure they can continue their journey. Because it is women, predominantly women, from all over the world who have kept our little Roisin alive. And I think we have to acknowledge that, of the vibrancy and the richness and the diversity of our medical staff in our hospitals who are keeping our system together. Look, I've used this phrase before. If men gave birth, the world would be a very different place. Certainly our maternity services will be a very different place, and the Rotunda will be a very, very different place. But I'm just so thankful for Marie, for the unions that are here, who have fought the fight to continue for the Rotunda to stay here in Dublin 1. But it's a fight that has to continue for all maternity services throughout the country to ensure that women and babies are treated with the respect that they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elayne. And to our final speaker here, I think one of the critical things is that while many of us think of our maternity hospitals, and particularly the Rotunda, as a maternity hospital, obviously, as Dr. Dwyer said, it does so many other things as well in terms of gynecology services and also crucially in terms of the sexual assault unit. And it's really important that we have that reflected in what we are talking about today, that the announcement during the group was going to be additional sexual assault treatment unit now in Rotunda. So I want to very warmly welcome my colleague Ruth O'Dea, who's been a domestic violence campaigner for many years through her work with Women's Aid, a local activist, and now obviously our by-election candidate as well. Thanks, Ruth.
Thanks very much, Marie. Good afternoon, everybody. Hands up, who's a Rotunda baby here? Great. And the Rotunda mammies?
So look, the Rotunda it holds a very special place in my heart because my 3 babies were born there, and I was, received fantastic care from the wonderful staff of the Rotunda, in what were actually, fairly run-of-the-mill 3 pregnancies, labours and births. So, I was lucky. But what the Rotunda needs now is this modernised critical care unit, so that babies who are born premature and mothers and fathers can be, just as the clinical director described and as our colleagues from the unions described, can be looked after properly in modern facilities. So, we've heard the Rotunda's been here for nearly 3 centuries. It's, breathing life into every generation in our city. So what I want to say finally is, I'm proud now to be the Labour Party by-election candidate who is standing for a party that doesn't just sit back and wait for problems to be solved, but actually put solutions on the table. And finally the government catch up with us, and after the horse is bolted, we hear that, oh, no, we're not going to co-locate to Blanchardstown. Actually, we are going to stay in Parnell Square. Well, it would have been nice if we'd heard that a year or 2 ago when they were putting in their planning application. So I will say, fantastic. The Rotunda's staying in Dublin 1, serving the women of the North Side, just like it always has and just like it always should. So thanks very much.
Should be kept in Dublin 1, Dublin 2.
Thanks, Ruth. And look, the critical thing obviously to say is that co-location has happened. The Mater Hospital is 800 metres up the road. There are surgeons and doctors coming from the Mater down to the Rotunda Hospital when it is needed. And so it is working in practice at the moment, and that is not something that hasn't been properly acknowledged or recognised by your Department of Health, but needs to be recognised now and has been, thankfully, during the week. But those links need to be deepened and further increased over the future years. So last but certainly not least, we have a very special treat now. And I think the one thing I want to say is that when I think of the Rotunda, I think of it blazing a trail. Obviously being the first maternity hospital in this country, 270 years there, the first sexual assault unit in the country, the first maternity hospital in the country to provide fertility services, really important and a part of the story that we don't talk often enough. And I'm delighted that we've got another trailblazer here today. And Temper-Mental MissElayneous is a rapper. She is an artist who works across so many different forms and has been an incredible force of nature, I think, on the Irish stage over the past 15 years in terms of both her written word and in terms of her music. And as an educator, in terms of working with people in Cabra Community College, here just up the road, but across the city, has been such an inspiration to young people in terms of using their voice as a force for good. So thank you, Temper-Mental MissElayneous, for being here today, and we're delighted to have you.
Thank you very much. It's a lovely introduction. Thank you. No, that's quite all right. I think I'll be all right. I'm going to read a poem from the page, but I've written a few words just to introduce. So thank you very much in advance for lending your ears. So, as Marie said, very nicely, by the way, thank you for your eloquence. I'm Elayne Adamczyk Harrington, aka Temper-Mental MissElayneous. I'm a poet and artist and an educator now, and I'm in a position of privilege, as Marie said, to be a leader for young people. And I really, really see teaching and art as a position of privilege, you know. So just a few words on International Women's Day 2026. Very pleased to be here standing shoulder to shoulder with the people, raising our voices alongside women working in care, community-centred and radically transformative roles, and celebrating International Women's Day in word, in deed and in celebration, dedicating ourselves to a cause that matters very deeply. Although I was born in Holles Street Hospital, hospitals like the Rotunda hold the stories of generations of Dublin families. My sister gave birth to my niece in the Rotunda, and I care very much so about how families, babies, mothers and healthcare workers are treated in our country and are supported. So this we brought that welcome news of the Rotunda remaining here in the heart of the city, near Parnell Square. But a critical care wing, of course, is essential, and that's what we're fighting for. Women, mothers, babies, families and healthcare workers who deserve and are entitled to modern, safe maternity care and strong community support. So I just wanted to say that to open up, and a special thanks to TD Marie Sherlock for inviting me here today to be a part of the gathering. So I have poetry to share with you. This one is called She Built Me a Sky, and it's dedicated to my mother because, of course, God created my innermost being and knit me in my mother's womb. So this is dedicated to Elayne Harrington, my mother, a trade unionist and a feminist, but of course, most importantly, my mammy. She built me a sky. My mother conquered seas of grief. It filled her days with rain. She clutched a somewhat frail belief. She crumbled under pain, comprised of words and thoughts and bloods. It seems like any other. I don't deserve, I surely can't, this priceless gift. My mother. She and I, we share one face, her details etched more clear. She buried smiles for miles and miles, let mine stretch ear to ear. When she had childish thoughts like mine, a clean white sheet to fill, she began to build a sky constructed of her will. Planting all the strongest seeds, gladness fills my heart. This blue sky you painted allows clouds of my mind to part.
I'm going to beat the power on, but it's going to be unamplified, so I hope I'll be hefty enough vocally for you. And please feel free to join in on the 1 and the 4 if you can count. It's funny, my mother says, it's funny you call yourself miscellaneous because you are a bit of this, a bit of that and a bit of the other. And I call myself everything and anything and nothing in particular, miscellaneous, with Elayne right there in the middle. And one translation of the Irish word for bowron, would you believe, is miscellaneous. Because the workers used to carry their tools in the bowron. And they were going to work and carry all maybe their lunch and their bits and pieces, and then they'd winnow the seeds in the drum itself. So it's fascinating, isn't it? Heritage and culture and labour. Don't be shy, put your hands together. On the beat. Go on the accent. Don't be shy, stamp your feet. Come on, let's go. Yes. Oh, nice. A tongue, a melody, a rhythm, not just a language my heart only knows. Éireann fado, stories of long ago. Prayers in the wind, carried like secrets in our eyes. But we dare not to utter truth, the utmost treasure of our isle. A half-mast pride, no emblem to conceal our clutch within our father's hands, measuring our stallions by his palms. Still, our heroes' hooves tread on these lands. White lily brow, sink to meet your scent, cheek of rose glow. Not just our rivers running free, it was our tears salted the sea. Listen to me. Your dreams rising from mystery. History, Celtic mythology. Colleen Ruin, white is your emerald iris. The world celebrates our Irish Dionysus. Grim Elayne Adamczyk on our ascent. Spirits of the veil are broken but bent. A digger of real dance our rhythm straight. We'll return and now God grant us patience. Our romantic apology cushion our fall. How shall we rise up if we can't stand it all? Scuttered in the gutter but fallen on the scars. Burning order for Paddy locked in and out of the bars. Drink a disorderly victim on with dawn. Blame and condemn the island you're born upon. Blarney thrown hope fast as our freckles. Ireland's treasures are hidden beneath pockets and shekels. Cockles and hustles and bare knuckle rage. A book of stealth inmates curve affiliation on stone page. Ronnie come over, son of the Cada. Once more, tread on the clover. Play with no for the ballot. Guys, would you like me to wrap up with another poem or will we close on that?
Wrap up with the last poem. Brilliant.
Now, I mentioned my sister, but this poem is for another sister of mine, an equally powerful woman, and it's called Cola Girl. And thank you again for having me here today. The girl with the cola hair taught me how to strike a match, and like that, I could snap my finger and click my tongue and pick the bones out of that. Tiddles on the brink, impeccable deadeners and the crack of the gingham. Tiger, balm, sharp. She is fragrance of echinacea root, all rhythm and stealth. Life is a jump scare for the girl with the cola hair. She taught me how to throw a dig and call it as it is not. She beats me in a stare, this girl with Coca-Cola hair. Her flat is urban wonderland. She's wondering, she's whistling in the dark amidst the din, simultaneously all tart and maltose. She cries when she laughs. She's waning gibbous in the daytime. She just knows. She grows like tendril, the fleshy oyster-like cushion under her soft palate and the treasure trove. She has a relaxed tort beneath her tongue, a retort that swallowed the pearl. She does not get lost. Time's lost to her. A metal spool for rapping fools. What my sister loves, I too love. She lets it go. She'll let you away with it. Her face is charged with fire and grit. Her verse is a taut thread. My Coca-Cola haired sister, comically coarse quicksilver, in tight grip with a choking whisper. My sister, with the harpist's hands on her father's fingers. My sister, with the grace of a war and the sigh of Cassandra. My sister, with machete eyes that flood with song. My sister, all Jack and Jill, all nimble, all quick. My sister, who knows the truth but doesn't shoulder its weight. My sister, with a frame like home. A cola-haired sister scales the narrow gate. Thank you.
So much. What an honour to have you today, and what a treat. And folks, thanks for being here today. Happy International Women's Day to you all, and yeah, we'll continue to keep fighting for the Rotunda and indeed for all maternity services across the country. Thanks, folks.